Traveling through a different world, Lu Mingfei, who had been slaying dragons for decades, thought he would have no connection with dragons after returning. Until this world reveals its ferocious claws and teeth to itself. He only then realized that his battle with the dragon had never ceased. Dragon Clan Fellow, keywords of the novel. Lu Mingfei returning from Monster Hunt without pop-ups. Download the complete text of Lu Mingfei returning from Monster Hunt, and read the latest chapters of Lu Mingfei returning from Monster Hunt. Chapter 1. My name is Lu Mingfei and I am a hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. My name is Lu Mingfei and I am a hunter. Is it a dream? Looking at the unfamiliar yet familiar room in front of me. The young man supported his heavy head with one hand. The settlement screen for a certain game is still on the computer in front of me. The soft chair under me is not as sturdy as in my dream. The cold air from the air conditioner blew over his head. It made Lu Mingfei feel a bit too cold and unreal. As for the game opened on the computer, if he remembers correctly, it is called StarCraft. The player across from the computer is old Tang, a friend he made online. After winning, he was chatting and boasting about himself on the public screen. Also pointed out the shortcomings of Lu Ming. Sure enough. It's a dream. Seeing all of this, Lu Mingfei became even more convinced that this was the world he knew. And the past decade was just his fantasy. However, Lu Mingfei hopes that dream is real. At least in his dreams, he is known as the guiding blue star. It is a genius figure that all the old hunters in the investigation team marvel at. He realized his small dream in his youth, transforming into a hero to save the world and fighting against various monsters. Don't be looked down upon by outsiders, don't be oppressed by uncles, aunts, and cousins you dislike. He leaned back quietly and lay on the armchair. The old electric fan above makes a creaking sound, as if it is spinning endlessly. For a long time, the young man's pale lips moved slightly. It's also quite good. Compared to a world full of danger, this world, although somewhat repulsive, is safe and harmonious. There are no various and bizarre dragon creatures. There are no investigation tasks that cannot be completed every day. I can't even see that Tyrannosaurus Rex cub gnawing on a meat leg and swaying in front of me every day. Ibwa, don't be so timid. Come up and I'll take you away. Aibo, if we become hunters, we won't have to worry about food and drink. Aibo, the reward for this task is 10,000 copper coins. Pick it up quickly. Aibo, I'm afraid we're in big trouble. Ibwa, you must survive. Recalling every bit of my dream. Lu Mingfei accidentally saw a manga on the table that was casually thrown away. The manga is called Naruto and is a very popular teenage hot-blooded manga in recent years. The protagonist Naruto had a tragic childhood experience, but he became even stronger through repeated setbacks. Unfortunately, Lu Mingfei is not the protagonist in the anime. He doesn't have that much nerve. He can't just slap his head and decide what he wants to do in the future. From beginning to end, his heart was more sensitive and fragile than anyone else. That dream is too real. He can't forget Wait. Picking up the manga of Naruto, Lu Mingfei's pupils shrank. The beginning of the climax. This is the promotional slogan for the Naruto Pain chapter. The debut of Naruto in the immortal mode has attracted the love of countless young people like him. But why can I understand Japanese? Although this comic is translated and published in Chinese. But in order to appear impressive, publishers usually write some passionate Japanese and print the cover in comic font. And this sentence, the beginning of the climax, is written in Japanese. Lu Mingfei is not his fault. Understood. Lu Mingfei doesn't understand. He has never learned this foreign language called Japanese through any means. No, not right. To be honest, there is something to say. That's in my dream. The alien world in his imagination. There, everyone else speaks Japanese. Under pressure and helplessness, I followed my partner and spent a year learning Japanese. But that's a dream. How can the Japanese language learned in dreams affect reality? Unless a hint of disbelief flashed on Lu Mingfei's thin, weak, and decadent face. He instinctively swallowed his throat. A terrible conjecture emerged in his mind. Unless that's true. After this idea came to mind, the memories of the past decade were washed out like floodwaters opening floodgates. He stood on the back of Rongshan Dragon for the first time, extremely thin and weak, with a bewildered expression on his face. The girl he referred to as a picture stick saved him. Xiangbang, in Japanese, means Ibwa, which means to be a partner. After being rescued at the time, he was unfamiliar with his hometown and followed the stick to the stronghold of the New World investigation team. Unfortunately, due to language barriers, Lu Mingfei encountered his biggest setback in the New World. After learning Japanese for a few months and being able to communicate a bit, he became a novice hunter for his own livelihood and that of a matchmaker. Yes, hunter. Hunters hunting dragons. At that time, he had 5 incomplete bodies and weak limbs. Even the lowest threat thief dragon is not a match. It is the repeated encouragement of the photo stick and the meticulous care of the investigation team. He has just come through the most difficult period. As a hunter, my skills are constantly exquisite. He seemed to have embarked on a new life of cheating. No matter what weapon it is, it can be quickly mastered. The movements of the dragon can also be seen through one by one under his sharp eyes. The dragon species hunted gradually improved from being inferior to being in battle. Great Thief Dragon, Earth Sand Dragon, Man-Jawed Dragon and then to Fengpielong, Scary Claw Dragon, Fire Dragon, Horn Dragon. He has also hunted many ancient dragon species on it, including Extinct Dragon, Corpse Trap Dragon, Flame King Dragon, Steel Dragon, and Dark Lamp Dragon. Even stronger ones include the Ice Curse Dragon, which can freeze a continent, the Dark Lamp Dragon, which perfectly controls the energy of the entire Earth Meridian, the Adult Dark Red Dragon, and the Heavenly in-Earth Crying Dragon, which can cause vibrations in all things. He has successfully hunted all of these. Until the last moment of memory. He encountered a monster known as Taboo. Black Dragon. Being able to possess the terrifying ability to turn the world into scorched earth for several days, every time it appears, it will bring endless disasters and inevitable deaths to the world. Lu Mingfei didn't know where he had the courage at that time. It may be 10 years of experience in dragon slaying. It may also be a nickname for his blue star. It could also be Ibwa, you must survive. The scene before Xiangba's death was deeply engraved in his mind like a horror movie. Unable to erase. Remembering the last moments. The young man raised his weapon and without hesitation cut towards the enemy that was impossible to defeat. The ultimate result was that he won. He stood on top of the black dragon corpse. His hands were stained with the bloodstains of the enemy. But it cannot replace the lives of those who have already died. The blue star that guides the way forward. Lu Mingfei looked at the exploding Zerg base in front of him and laughed at himself. Originally. It's all true. With the passage of 10 years of memory, his emotions began to become more complex. If given the opportunity, he would rather go back to that world and change everything. However, reality sarcastically told him. Idiotic delusions. So he decided to carry his regrets, his long-standing wish for love, and his hatred towards dragons. Spend a life without waves in this world. His name is Lu Mingfei, and he used to be a hunter hunting dragons. But now, he is a quasi-high school senior graduate, ordinary and unremarkable. Cute new on the road, take care of yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. All Things. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. All Things, brother, the Zerg have played well. You just missed a bit of micro-control, and your tactical awareness is very good. We will cut again next time. On the computer screen, a panda pattern pops up from the bottom right corner. Although he has accumulated more than 10 years of memories for no reason, Lu Mingfei vaguely remembers that this is a chat software called QQ. After opening it, he saw the teasing of the panda head user across from him. Okay, Lu Mingfei replied casually. The panda proudly went offline. Lu Mingfei glanced at the red dot controller on his laptop. This is an operational item that replaces a mouse on old-fashioned IBM laptops, but it is much more difficult than a mouse. Playing games with this playfulness is as difficult as using a rolling pin to poke your ear. This was something he used to do purely out of boredom to challenge high difficulty. During the 28 years, there were 18 years when Lu Mingfei only had one esports expert talent. Of course, now this specialty has become dragon hunting. For a toy that has been playing electronic games for so long, he has nothing but the remaining muscle memory in his mind. Moreover, playing video games was to make up for the emptiness in reality. But 10 years of dragon hunting life have completely filled his emptiness as a young and beautiful youth. It even made him feel a bit tired. And in this normal world, there are no dragons for him to hunt. So now, Lu Mingfei only wants to live an ordinary life as a normal person in this normal world. Just as Lu Ming was thinking about it, he was about to shut down his old laptop. The QQ avatar in the bottom right corner pops up another message. This time it's a portrait of a girl wearing a baseball cap. He clicked on the message box. I found out that I left a message for this girl 3,650 days and 18 hours ago. It's asking if she wants to participate in the activities of the Post-Astronomy Society. The girl replied to him after 3650 days and 18 hours. Go ahead, see you the day after tomorrow. Lu Mingfei was momentarily stunned. I immediately remembered the name of this girl. Chen. He had a crush on the goddess for 3 years in high school. Now the goddess has agreed to his date invitation. He should have been happy. No, it's not just joy. If it were Lu Mingfei from before. At this moment, I should jump onto the bed and whistle, wriggle my waist, and my face should be radiant with spring light. However, the expression on Lu Mingfei's face today is completely unaffected. Press the shutdown button with your back hand. It's been too long. Time is too long. He has forgotten his feelings about Chen Wenwen's male hormone secretion during his youth. Thinking back to when I first traveled to a different world. Dreaming will also loudly recite Chen Wenwen's name. Imagine a story where the male and female protagonists travel through different worlds and embark on adventures together in an anime. Knights protect princesses, this is the timeless principle of all royal hot-blooded anime. Unfortunately, Chen Wenwen has not traveled through time. Lu Ming is not a knight either. It was destined that he would not be able to become a knight from the moment he cut off the fragments of the dragon's body with all his might. Because knights have always been glamorous, they do not use their hands to stain blood. Setting aside the complicated thoughts, Lu Mingfei touched his head with some headache. There is no benefit in traveling through another world and returning, except for the memory in this head. Lu Mingfei has read a manga where the male protagonist travels through a different world and comes back. In a different world, the male protagonist learned a lot of magic and returned to reality with great power, using these magic to earn a lot of money. If it were to him, there would be nothing left. Lu Mingfei was somewhat speechless. He wants to be a normal person, but he doesn't want to be a poor normal person. Originally, the other world put in a lot of effort to make life easier. After crossing back, it returned to its original state. Lu Mingfei knocked his head and suddenly froze. Hey! That's not right. Seemingly to confirm the situation, he closed his eyes. The next second, a black pill appeared in his hand. Lu Mingfei recognized the real name of the pill at a glance based on his decades of memory. Secret medicine. One of the necessary items for dragon hunting, taking it can instantly heal all injuries. Lu Mingfei once again immersed his thoughts in the sea of consciousness. Here, he can see a small space like a warehouse. Secret medicine, life dust, recovery medicine, grinding stone, flash projector, big ghost medicine, strong walking medicine, none of them are hunter supplies stored by oneself in a different world. There is even a row of glowing weapons listed in the corner of the warehouse. Exiting the sea of consciousness, Lu Mingfei felt his chin and fell into contemplation. Then, he tentatively imagined taking out a weapon from the warehouse. With a heavy feeling pressing down, Lu Mingfei looked at the black long knife in his hand in confusion. This is a Japanese-style dagger. The blade of the Tai Dao still emits indestructible sparks. Red Dragon Flash Blade. Explosion. A top-level Tai Dao made from materials taken from the body of the dark red dragon. It is also one of his most skilled weapons. Consciousness micro-movement. The red dragon flash blade disappeared before my eyes again. This time, Lu Mingfei can finally be convinced. He brought back all his belongings from another world. But, it's useful for hair. Lu Ming couldn't help complaining about it. Should he rush out in a harmonious legal society with a few Tai Dao shield axes and say that I am a dragon-slaying warrior? Or is it just wandering around the city carrying claws all day, cozy Spider-Man? These props originally used for hunting dragons are really useless in modern society, right? Lu Mingfei thought very definitely. The only use he can think of for these scrap metal in modern society is to sell drugs such as recovery drugs. Perhaps in the future, he will also have the opportunity to become a member of the pedestrian street vendors. But Lu Mingfei is not a fool. This type of drug is only purchased without certification from a professional organization. I'm afraid if the customer buys it back and has diarrhea, they will have to compensate him. Selling reply medicine is also not feasible. So overall he brought back a bunch of things with a different art style from this world. I knew I would have kept a pterosaur in the warehouse. Submit extinct species to national research institutions, and even if it doesn't work out, you can still receive a bonus or something. Unfortunately, he doesn't like keeping animals in the warehouse. Because it can cause their beloved things to get stained with their feces. The cold fact made Lu Mingfei feel tired. He lay in bed, motionless. The stray dog at the corner of the alley can even rummage through the trash can to find food when hungry. But at this moment, like a stray dog, he doesn't know where the future direction is. Lu Mingfei blew his dog's nose. Or, as those netizens say, go to the Middle East and find a summer job. By relying on his hunting skills, he should be able to earn a lot of money. When this idea first emerged, Auntie's voice exploded like thunder next door. A box of discounted bagged milk, half a pound of Guangdong sausages, and the new issue of The Most Novel That Mingza Wants. After buying it, come back quickly and pick the celery on the table for me. Also, go to the reception room to see if there is any letter from the United States. Playing games. You don't pay attention to your own affairs. If no one accepts you, can you get into a book? What's the use of spending so much money on you? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Letters from Kassel College. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Letters from Kassel College. Lu Mingfei is 18 years old this year and is raised and supervised by his uncle and aunt. He also has a cousin named Lu Mingza. Of course, this does not mean that he is an orphan. But he hasn't seen his parents for 16 years. In Lu Mingfei's memory, his parents were archaeologists and were said to be busy with a large project. Young Lu Mingfei's feelings towards his parents can at most be considered as a child's admiration for adults. When he was in middle school, he would take pride in his parents and talk to his classmates on the way out of school. But he soon realized that he should be proud of having his parents drive over to pick up his child after school. A group of friends walked leisurely side by side, followed by the honking of car horns. Then the number of people decreased one by one, and in the end, only Lu Mingfei continued to sway forward alone. Others looked through the glass window, and Lu Mingfei's back kicked the stone away freely, so they were very envious. Envy him for being able to do whatever he wants without being disciplined by his family. If he wants to go shopping, he can go shopping, buy food, and even play billiards. In fact, when Lu Mingfei was alone, he didn't go shopping or play billiards. The only places he will go are internet cafes and home. But he didn't go home directly either. He will crawl through the iron fence on the rooftop, sit next to the buzzing air conditioner, and gaze at the city until the sun sets. Lu Mingfei didn't envy them because he always believed that his parents were doing big things. Digging out this unpleasant memory, Lu Mingfei shook his head with emotion. Now, this little worship has already been washed away by the river of time. In other words, he no longer has much affection for his parents whom he hasn't seen in over a decade. Lu Mingfei pressed the fan button. The creaking old desk fan finally stopped working. Lu Mingfei. Are you asleep? Hurry up. Perhaps he has been recalling it for a while. Auntie's roar rang out twice. Here we go. Lu Mingfei calmly agreed and walked out of the room. Auntie is searching for TV on the sofa. The hottest TV drama of this year is called The Legend of Sword and Fairy 3, but my aunt, at her age, doesn't like watching this thing. Lu Mingfei used to love watching, but now he doesn't like watching either. Because he forgot all the plot of the first 10 episodes of this TV series. So he just glanced and then withdrew his gaze. Auntie noticed Lu Mingfei's peeping and angrily turned her head, trying to vent her anger on him. However, when she saw the current Lu Mingfei, she trembled and couldn't speak. This kid can't kill anymore, can he? This is what Auntie thought after seeing Lu Mingfei. What she doesn't know is, although Lu Mingfei's body is still the same as before, but the inner temperament has long been somewhat isolated from the normal world due to being bathed in flesh and blood every day. If we use an analogy to describe Lu Mingfei now, it is an old butcher who has been slaughtering for 10 years. A grin can make people lament that there is another little pig that is about to get cold. Or even more exaggerated than this. After all, when facing Gulong, he sacrificed his life every time to hunt. This is a more terrifying aura than the killing spirit of soldiers on the battlefield. Auntie was clearly intimidated. Her face turned pale, and she wanted to scold Lu Mingfei for a few words, but couldn't say anything. Lu Mingfei didn't pay attention to his aunt's changes. He left this house with his hands in his pockets, which did not belong to him. Compared to my aunt, uncle, and parents whom I haven't met for a long time, Lu Mingfei still prefers his home in a different world. Well, it's dangerous, but at least there are friends. I went downstairs all the way, bought bagged milk and Guangdong sausages at a convenience store, and then bought the latest novel from a bookstall. My cousin is currently in the most severe stage of adolescent fantasy symptoms, and he can understand that he likes to read such strange magazines. Lu Mingfei once created a QQ account called Sunset Scratches to satisfy his fantasies. Gender-filled female, using a cute photo of Loli as her avatar, successfully hooked up with her ignorant little cousin. And he always meets his younger cousin during piano lessons. Every time Lu Mingze looked at his aunt with a mournful expression, he couldn't help but want to laugh. At the beginning, Lu Mingfei was neither too good nor too bad. He lived aimlessly until the age of 18, without knowing where his future direction was. Mingfei, I heard you're going to study abroad. The newsstand man interrupted Lu Mingfei's thoughts. I'm still applying, it's not guaranteed. Lu Mingfei replied without hesitation. Studying abroad is great. Returning from abroad is like a turtle, making more money. That's true. Lu Mingfei thought that going to the Middle East for a summer job could indeed earn a lot of money, provided that he could come back alive. However, what the master said about studying abroad does not mean going to the Middle East. Lu Mingfei's high school grades were not ideal. So his aunt applied for him to study abroad in the United States. Of course, Lu Ming was not well aware, an aunt was planning for her younger cousin. Lu Ming's grades are slightly better than him, but he cannot be considered a top tier. It's a good idea to give up taking the exam and go abroad. But going to college is a lifelong thing, and my aunt doesn't want to take risks with her own children. So, Lu Mingfei became the lone swimmer. If he could swim a path overseas, then Lu Mingze would definitely do the same. If he fails, it just means that the road is blocked. My younger cousin can rest assured to prepare for the college entrance examination in China. Do you have my letter? It's from Lu Mingfei. Lu Mingfei stopped in front of the reception room and asked with a smile. After such a period of shopping, he learned how to restrain his murderous spirit. He is now more normal than ever. So the security guard didn't show the same frightened expression as his aunt. Yes, it's from the United States. He threw out a letter. Lu Mingfei did not hold on to the hope of successful application. He already has the idea of going to the Middle East to make money if he can't go to college. Tearing open the envelope, the letter was unexpectedly written in Chinese. The first half of the letter expressed regret that he did not pass the admission criteria of the University of Chicago. Just as Lu Mingfei thought his application had failed again, the latter half of the letter suddenly claimed that he met the application criteria for a private American university called Kassel College. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Lu Mingfei counted the number of promised scholarships on the letter. Excluding the last 2 zeros, the total amount is $36,000. Liar, this is. According to the exchange rate, 36,000 yuan would be close to 250,000 yuan. Which university is so generous in offering so many scholarships to a high school student with a talent for esports? Moreover, letters written in Chinese are inherently suspicious. Sign 4. At this moment, the guard handed over a ticket. Do you still need to sign for the letter? The package that came with the letter needs to be signed for. Lu Mingfei signed for the package in a daze. Upon opening it, there lay a dark guy inside. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Reverse a friend delete. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Reverse a friend delete. If Lu Mingfei remembers correctly, this iron knot is called N96, the latest Nokia brand phone. High-end electronic products with a market price of over 4,000 yuan. Lu Mingze also has one, which was bought by his aunt last year to reward him for finishing third in the class. Are scammers willing to spend so much money these days? Lu Mingfei was a bit confused. He opened his phone. Well, it can light up the screen, it's not broken, there's still more than half of the electricity inside. There is only one contact person in the phone contact list. Professor Gudrian. It must be a scammer, acquaintances. Only acquaintances know that our family has money. Auntie appeared very excited and slapped the letter on the table, speaking firmly. Uncle, however, disagreed with her words. He said that scammers don't need to give them a free phone just to tease them. Lu Mingze, on the other hand, exudes a sour and eerie aura beside him. Saying that Chu Ziheng didn't even receive a scholarship when he went abroad, the $36,000 scholarship per year is simply nonsense. You should know that Chu Ziheng is the idol of most of the younger students at Shilin High School, and also the object of their longing. Now suddenly, there is a situation where Lu Mingze cannot accept the higher treatment than Chu Ziheng. Lu Mingfei doesn't really care about the views expressed by these three people. He sat on the sofa without thinking and picked up the N96. Stinky kid, you can't make a call. Once this kind of call is made, you'll be scammed out of money. Auntie reached out to stop it. However, Lu Ming didn't just shake his body, so he dodged his aunt's snatch at an invisible speed. At the same time, a call was made to Professor Gudrian. The phone was quickly connected. Hello, hello. Lu Mingfei. Are you originally Chinese? He thought it was some foreign professor by name. Hello, I'm Lu Mingfei. I received your email today. Mingfei. The tone on the other end of the phone suddenly became excited. Mingfei. Have you decided to attend the interview at our Kassel college? What? Wait, I'm sorry, could you please explain more clearly what kind of interview? Guderian suddenly realized that he had not yet told Lu Mingfei these news, so immediately Balabera said a lot, as if a thirsty lord urgently needed his unborn Wulong. After a slight ring, hang up the phone. In an instant, Lu Mingfei only felt that the cicadas outside the window sounded much more pleasant. Turning his head, he saw 3 performance artists standing behind him. How do you say, like a scammer? Asked the ant. Not quite. Lu Mingfei shook his head lightly and said, he said he could meet me tomorrow at the Lijing Hotel at 9 o'clock in the morning. The Lijing Grand Hotel is the most luxurious hotel in this small city, with a 5-star rating and a nationwide chain. Those who can treat people to meals here are either rich or expensive. Now the other party became more credible in the hearts of the 2 snobbish uncles and aunts. Uncle pretended to be serious and said, how can you go as a child? We'll accompany you when the time comes. In fact, this is because he once only drank tea in the lobby of the Lijing Hotel but never went up. Uncle wants to broaden his horizons. Lu Mingfei saw through his ideas at first glance, but he was too lazy to refuse. After all, uncles and aunts are ordinary people, and having such a mentality is normal. I'll go rest first. I'm a bit tired today. After agreeing to his uncle's request, he waved his hand and turned back to his bedroom. He said he was tired, but Lu Mingfei didn't sleep. Instead, he opened his computer and started searching for Kassel College online. The information found online, as stated in the letter, is an extremely advanced private college. Lu Mingfei rubbed his head and couldn't figure out why such a bustling school would come to him. Is it difficult, or did you admire his talent for hunting dragons? After this nonsense idea came up, even I laughed. After the founding of the People's Republic of China, he is not allowed to become a refined person. He is definitely in a civilized and harmonious society. Lu Mingfei is very certain. If I can't figure this out, I'm too lazy to think about it. Perhaps the other party is doing a variety show called One Poor Loser Returns, right? No one can say for sure about this kind of thing. Thinking too much is just adding trouble to oneself. Moreover, the scholarship is worth $36,000. 36,000, with this money, he can lie flat and no longer have to work in the Middle East. Lu Mingfei passed his hands through the back of his head, half lying on the armchair thinking. With money, one may also have a sense of belonging to this world. This world is not unfamiliar to him. But now it's even stranger than a strange world. His life alone is like a floating duckweed drifting aimlessly, without knowing where to go. The more you think, the farther your thoughts fly. Ibwa. Didi Didi, the urgent reminder came from the computer, interrupting Lu Mingfei's thoughts. Cut a plate. A big-faced cat avatar flashed on QQ, named Nono. Lu Mingfei doesn't remember knowing a person named Nono, perhaps a friend who used to play interstellar games. After too long, his memory has become a bit blurry. He casually replied, no cutting. No. I withdrew from the game. Nono changed hands and sent a petrified QQ with a built.in expression. Meanwhile, at the Lijing Hotel. The girl with wine-red long hair is sitting on a computer chair, wearing a white vest, with her left foot coiled and drooping on her white right thigh. Upon seeing the other person's reply on QQ, 2 black lines appeared between her delicate eyebrows. Norma, check if this guy's game is online. Not online. A female voice with electric current came from the laptop. Are you really not online? What is this guy doing now? Searching for information on Kassel College. The girl paused upon hearing this reply and immediately smiled. It's not as silly as in the photo, it's a pity. Unfortunately, both the official website and online information of Kassel College are fake, making it a highly confidential private college. Its existence is to deal with things that the vast majority of people in the world cannot handle. After learning about this through Norma, the girl started typing on the keyboard again. Hurry up and cut a plate. I heard you're the top expert on this channel. Aren't you even willing to accept a girl's challenge? According to the experience of girls, the best way to deal with a teenager who is currently in adolescence is to use provocative tactics. Now she can still hold back if she doesn't believe the person across from her. The girl confidently pressed the enter button. Then she saw that a system automatic reply popped up on QQ. The other party has enabled friend verification, but you are not yet their friend. Please send a friend verification request first, and the other party can only start chatting after verification is successful. What? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Chen Mo Tong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Chen Mo Tong. The next day, Lu Mingfei arrived at the Lijing Hotel with his uncle, aunt, and little cousin. The waiter said that Professor Gudrian is already waiting for them at the VIP spin bar on the 9th floor. Even an uncle who claims to have been a regular customer drinking tea in the hotel lobby for several years has never heard of what VIP spin bars are. The waiter explained that this is a place that is only open to guests of the presidential suite and business suite for free. Professor Gudrian opened the presidential suite. Uncle and aunt were surprised and exclaimed that American schools are really rich. Especially when Auntie remembered that she had thought the other party was a scammer before, she couldn't help feeling ashamed, and at the same time, she held a deep respect for Kassel Academy in her heart. The VIP elevator takes them to the top floor. The silver-haired old man immediately welcomed him and held Lu Mingfei's hand. Hello, Lu Mingfei. Hello. When Lu Ming met Professor Gudrian informally, he raised his eyebrows again. Gudrian's second subversion of his speculation. This old man is indeed a foreigner, not a Chinese person with a foreign name as he thinks, as can be seen from his appearance. Gudrian is a typical foreigner with a burly figure and a high nose bridge. You're Chinese. That's because our college has been focusing on Chinese language education in the past 2 years. After all, everyone knows that China will become one of the most prosperous places in the world. Professor Guderian explained as he led them into the VIP spin bar. Lu Mingfei nodded, seemingly accepting his statement. After taking his seat, Professor Gudrian invited them to have breakfast together as it was still early. At the dining table, uncles and aunts have been wanting to establish a relationship. Professor Guderian dispelled their thoughts with a sentence, your uncle and nephew really don't look alike. Uncle and aunt, they all saw that Professor Gudrian, whose gaze had always been on Lu Mingfei, was only interested in one person. They can be considered as supporting at most. No, it's not even a supporting role. It might be better if they don't come. After failing to establish a relationship, Uncle turned to boasting loudly at the dining table about his excellent education policy towards Lu Mingfei from a young age. Hearing this, Lu Mingfei felt that he didn't call him Lu Mingfei, but rather changed his name to Lu Mingze. Professor Gudrian was also polite and perfunctory to his uncle. When Uncle mentioned being dry-tongued and speechless, Lu Mingfei asked, Professor Gudrian, my English grades are not good and I don't have any special skills. Why does your school like me? It's not a prank show. Gudrian was stunned for a moment, then waved his hand to deny it. He said that Kassel College now does not focus on English education, but more on comprehensive quality. And it's definitely not a prank variety show. To confirm this, he also revealed an astonishing piece of news. Your parents are honorary alumni of our school, and we will prioritize admitting alumni children. Father. Mother. Lu Mingfei's eyes suddenly became sharp, as dazzling as the knife and fork in his hand. Professor Gudrian frowned. He felt a strong sense of oppression on Lu Mingfei at this moment. This is not a power in their blood, but something called momentum. The old man exclaimed in his heart that he truly was the S.level student that the principal valued, and explained calmly. Actually, I haven't seen them either. I heard they have been busy with important research topics. But I have a photo of them and a letter your mother wrote to the college about this matter. The photo is very simple, a group photo of a man and a woman at the entrance of the library of Kassel College. Lu Mingfei could only vaguely recall their appearance. Stroking the cheeks of the parents in the photo, the distance between them has never been so close. But in reality, their feelings have gradually drifted apart. As for the letter, it is very brief. It was a recommendation letter written by his mother to the principal. But what is amusing is that Professor Gudrian really spoke in a deep and affectionate tone, as requested in the letter, "Mingfei, Mom and Dad love you." Lu Mingze couldn't help but laugh, and his uncle and aunt also suppressed their laughter. Lu Mingfei smiled like them, and the atmosphere at the dining table was harmonious and joyful. I went to the restroom. At the moment he turned around, he stopped laughing. The expression on his face was extremely cold. Actually, everything is not that funny. What's funny is that Lu Mingfei spent so many years like an orphan. How many times did he shout his parents' names out loud when he was in a different world? But nothing has changed. At that time, Lu Mingfei thought about how happy a child with parents to rely on was. Unfortunately, he didn't rely on it. He began to tell himself to learn to be strong, to pick up weapons weighing hundreds of pounds alone, and to grow in the midst of battles. Now, 6 years in this world plus 10 years in another world. For such a long time, the love of his parents has long ceased to exist for him. All that remained of him was his hunting skills. Lu Mingfei stared silently at himself in the mirror, without saying a word. Until a girl appeared in the mirror. Lu Mingfei suddenly looked up and saw the girl clearly. She was wearing jeans and a blue short shirt, with a baseball cap on her head. The pendant of a 4-leaf clover sways on the earlobe. More importantly, he sensed murderous intent on this girl. And resentment. What are you doing in the women's restroom? A narcissistic idiot, the girl pointed out the key question. Lu Mingfei awkwardly withdrew his fists, which were stored under his clothes. The two of them returned to the dining table, one in front and one behind. The tall girl pulled her face and looked like she didn't really like Lu Mingfei. Let me introduce you. This is Chen, a Chinese student from our school, who came to China with me. Professor Gudrian scolded, No, why are you here so late? This is our new classmate Lu Mingfei and his family. No. Lu Mingfei was stunned when he remembered the QQ friend he had blacklisted and deleted last night. It should be a coincidence, he muttered to himself. However, the girl named Chen mercilessly shattered his fantasies. It's quite a coincidence. I like internet surfing experts who don't like to delete friends' words. Chen held a dining knife in his fingers and glanced at him with a sideways glance. Admittedly, she could use Norma to forcibly add Lu Ming as a non-friend, but that would make her appear very abnormal. Professor Guderian specifically instructed that before accepting admission to the S.level, the school must keep everything confidential for him. Although she is very shameless in her behavior of luring cute newcomers to the college, she is also helpless. Upon hearing this, Lu Mingfei immediately knew where the resentment of the red-haired girl came from. Well, I'm sorry, I slipped my hands last night. Chen Tong rolled his eyes as he listened to his explanation, which was so stiff that he couldn't resist. It's hand sliding, it's all sliding until it pulls me black. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Interview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Interview. The Lu Mingfei family was taken to the elevator downstairs. Professor Gudrian's expression suddenly relaxed a lot. He turned his head and asked Chen how much can you tell about that child? Chen Tong lightly raised a hand. 50%. It's okay. The school didn't send you in vain. 5%. Professor Guderian. Professor, please don't have this expression, I'm also surprised. Chen Modong shrugged and said helplessly, the information on Lu Mingfei is just an ordinary little weakling who is often overlooked in school, but I believe you have also seen him today. Guderian followed Chen Modong's words and carefully thought about it. It was found that, as she said, Lu Mingfei and the information appeared to be two people. That stunning and sharp aura. Compared to high-level students like Caesar Chu Zihong in the college, there is nothing inferior. Even Guderian himself and Lu Mingfei sat face to face at a dining table, unable to guess his thoughts. No, and I said that child, is it possible that he has been hiding his true self all along? Who knows? Chen Mo Tong picked up a free lollipop from the hotel front desk casually. Anyway, he just accepted our invitation, isn't it? An S.level, being stronger is also good for the school. Hey, you're right. I think I overthought it. Speaking so, Professor Guderian couldn't suppress his worries. Lu Mingfei accepted Professor Guderian's invitation to participate in the interview at Kassel College next Wednesday. He didn't see this as a turning point in his life, but simply wanted to travel to other parts of the world. A lifetime is so long, always staying in one place, isn't it too boring? The most important thing is, it doesn't matter whether you go to school or not, then $36,000 should never be lost. After returning home, Lu Mingfei began to busy himself with the interview. In this world, he has a netizen he met through interstellar communication called Lao Tang, who lives in the United States all year round. For this reason, Lu Mingfei actively approached old Tang to learn oral English about American interviews. After all, 10 years have passed, and he has already returned all the English to the teacher. It is fortunate that he can barely remember some commonly used words and phrases. So in the remaining days until the interview, he and old Tang carried out a surprise reinforcement, fighting until midnight every day. During this period, he even forgot about the graduation party of the literary society, and in the end, Chen Wenwen took the initiative to contact him through QQ. This may be the first conversation between Lu Mingfei and Chen Wenwen since 18 years ago, when the other party first spoke up. Regarding this, Lu Mingfei had no waves in his heart and only replied briefly, I understand. On the day of the interview, many people came to the 7th floor of the Lijing Hotel. Chen Wenwen, Zhao Menghua, Su Xiaoqiang, and many people whose names are not clear to Lu Mingfei, seemed to be students of Shilin High School. Everyone looked at him with surprised eyes, as if they didn't expect Lu Mingfei to be invited to the interview. Lu Mingfei didn't have time to pay attention to their impolite gazes, because at this moment, he was still cramming back the self-introduction phrases he had memorized last night in his mind. Chen Wenwen. A capable man with short hair walked out of the interview room and shouted. In. The girl, wearing a white cotton dress, stood up and whispered in response. I am Examiner Yisheng, please follow me. A man named Yisheng walked into the room with Chen Wenwen. Lu Mingfei glanced at the man with a spare glance. Chinese people. In this way, the examiner should not be able to speak all English anymore, it's stable. About 10 minutes later, Chen Wenwen walked out of the room with a disappointed expression on her face. Lu Mingfei originally wanted to sneak a question about the exam content, but before he could speak, Yisheng called out his name directly. There's not enough time to think too much. He followed Yisheng into the interview room. At this moment, besides Yisheng, there was also an Asian woman with black hair in the room. Has a softer appearance. She introduced herself and said, Hello Lu Mingfei, my name is Joda Yaji and I am also one of the examiners for this exam. Japanese. Lu Mingfei blurted out Japanese that he hadn't spoken for several days. Oh, haha. Judea Jiwen chuckled and also replied with a Japanese greeting. It doesn't seem surprising to hear the commonly used Japanese from a weakling like Lu Mingfei. Don't delay, let's start the interview first. Yixing interrupted the conversation between the two, walked to the sofa, opened the computer, and entered the name of Lu Mingfei. Lu Mingfei sat down calmly, silently reciting the mnemonic given to him by old Tang. I have practiced back and forth 70 or 80 times, and I believe there should be no problem. Do you believe in aliens? As soon as Joda Yaji spoke, Lu Mingfei's head froze. My name is Mingfei Lu. At the corner of his mouth was forcibly suppressed. What? Mingming Tang told him that the first question for an American interview is either to introduce yourself or why you applied for our school/position. He also specially strengthened his training for 2 nights. Now it's completely useless. Our interviews at high-end schools such strange questions. It took him a long time to slowly recover from the shock, and he reluctantly spoke with his 3-legged English proficiency. Believe. Just use Chinese. Lu Mingfei. What is the American elite school for Chinese local products? Yes, I believe there are aliens. Why do you believe in aliens? Please explain your reasons. Joda Yaji pointed his chin curiously and asked. Lu Mingfei took a deep breath and regained his usual calmness. Because the universe is vast, billions of stars are burning themselves here. The result was that only Earth gave birth to life. This is strange, isn't it? In fact, Lu Mingfei still has one sentence in his heart that he hasn't said. That's because he has seen aliens. On that unknown planet, there was a place called the New World, where he lived for decades. Does burning mean having a spirit of dedication? Do you enjoy being helpful? Yixing is not like an examiner, but more like a reading comprehension candidate, recording Lu Mingfei's answers on a laptop. Lu Mingfei's mouth twitched and he nodded. The word helpful stirred up some unpleasant memories in him. The second question, do you believe in superpowers? Believe it, Lu Mingfei answered decisively. Joda Yaji was surprised and said, the answer was quite fast this time. Why do you believe in superpowers? Because I have. Such words are likely to provoke ridicule and disbelief from others. So Lu Mingfei has no burden, as a joking answer. Upon hearing this, Yixing smiled and said, it seems that the adolescent fantasy symptoms are not over yet, which is very suitable for our school. Joda Yaji also smiled. Lu Mingfei felt that there might be something wrong with these two people. So the last question, do you think this world is idealistic, spiritual, or materialistic, material and physical? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Little Heavenly Maiden. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Little Heavenly Maiden, thank you for this interview. If you pass, we will contact you. Please keep your college's mobile phone available for delivery. Lu Mingfei yawned and left the hotel. After sorting out the information, Joda Yaji looked at Yixing and the two of them exchanged a tacit glance. We both saw a hint of disbelief in each other's eyes. His answer. Well, that's right, this guy is even more terrifying than the principal and his team thought. Yixing closed his computer and confidently said. Lu Mingfei's eyes harbored a sharpness comparable to that of a lion. To be released from the cage, one needs to control it. This is their final evaluation of Lu Ming's non-personal observation. That's right, in fact, what Lu Mingfei just experienced was not an interview at Kassel College, but a personality test requested by the president of Kassel College to determine whether his mental state was stable. Because from the beginning, there was only one student they came to China to recruit, and that was Lu Mingfei. As for the other students who came to participate in the interview, they were just creating a facade to make this interview look more serious. The test results were not ideal. It should be said that Lu Ming's answer to the first two questions is not conventional, and there is nothing wrong with it. So his answer to the third question was quite unexpected. That's how Lu Mingfei answered at the time. Miss Joda Yaji, dare I ask, do you Japanese like to count cows or sheep before sleeping? After being asked back by Lu Mingfei for a moment, Zhou Daoji and Yi Sheng were stunned, and Lu Mingfei continued to speak. To be honest, I like to count the mistakes I've made in my life before going to bed. Do you know that a person's life is like a carriage traveling in a narrow alley, only able to move forward, but you don't know which direction ahead is a dead end? When you make mistakes in life, there is no way to salvage them. Speaking of which, Lu Mingfei kept his eyes open, his pupils filled with a look of unwillingness and ferocity. At that time, Yi Sheng and Zhou Daoji's entire bodies were erect with sweat and hair. If it weren't for intentionally suppressing their emotions, they would even burn their golden pupils and attack Lu Mingfei on the spot. There are many things lost, some people lose their limbs, some lose their consciousness, and some lose their lives. So I like to count my past mistakes, reflect on them, every day and every night. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes and walk into a dead end like those people. Unfortunately, he still hasn't been saved by anyone. Lu Mingfei clenched his fist and replied heavily, "My answer. This is a materialistic world, but I hope it is idealistic. Report this result to Professor Gudrian." Yi Sheng made a decision, and let the rest be judged by the higher-ups. As soon as Lu Mingfei left with his front foot, he received a message from Professor Mans with his back foot. The time for the Qiushan Dam was advanced, and something very dangerous appeared in the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, requiring them to immediately investigate. So the matter regarding Lu Mingfei can only be left to Professor Gudrian and the principal to handle. A very dangerous child. I don't know what he has experienced, he would be so desperate about this world. Zhou Daoji sighed and agreed with Yi Sheng's decision. She could foresee that once Lu Mingfei activated the S-level bloodline and speech spirit in his body, the fate of this world would be crushed towards another path. No one can see the end of that road. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Chen Tong is investigating the relationship between Lu Mingfei and the people around him through Norma. When her name stopped at the 3 words of Chen Wenwen, she paused. This person named Chen Wenwen, help me check her information. The gathering of the literary society proceeded as scheduled. Lu Mingfei arrived at the cinema very early, holding a bucket of popcorn in his hand. He is not sure about the specific activities arranged by Chen Wenwen and her team today. I thought it was just a simple movie for everyone to watch together. If you watch a movie, you naturally can't miss popcorn. He read a statement online that the purpose of popcorn is not to fill your stomach, but to prevent you from getting bored and having nothing to do while watching bad movies. Lu Mingfei doesn't think Chen Wenwen's level can pick any good movies. Literary girls love romantic or literary films that mock me the most, telling the pain of life and the regret of love all day long. He didn't like it, so he brought his own popcorn. Behind him was little heavenly maiden Su Xiaoqiang. Today she is wearing a luxurious long dress, with her hair tied into a pair of ponytails, like a noble princess. Su Xiaoqiang himself is of mixed Chinese and Portuguese descent, with both clear European facial features and the warmth of an Eastern girl. Even a slight dressing up immediately catches people's attention. However, among those who cannot take their eyes off, Lu Mingfei is not included. He is chewing popcorn over there, eagerly waiting for the movie to start. Su Xiaoqiang chuckled at Lu Mingfei's appearance and sat next to him. "Give me a taste." She reached out, but Lu Ming didn't stop. Su Xiaoqiang pounced in the air. "You. If you want to eat, go buy it yourself." Lu Mingfei gave her a blank glance. He couldn't bear to see such a young lady with her mouth wide open and her hands wide open for food. Such a person, placed in a different world, will definitely be captured by Goblin as a hot weapon in seconds. "I'll give you money." "No, I'm not a beggar." "Lu Mingfei, you silly monkey. Wishing you a lifetime of being single and not finding a girlfriend." "Thank you, this is exactly the life I aspire to," Lu Ming said with a smirk, directly infuriating Su Xiaoqiang to the point of vomiting blood. The two are well-known enemies in the class. This also stems from the sentence that Lu Mingfei said to Su Xiaoqiang when he enrolled. At that time, Lu Mingfei pointed at Chen Wenwen and said to Su Xiaoqiang, "That's probably our class monitor." When did the proud, little heavenly girl, who had been proud for 15 years, suffer such humiliation? She immediately stomped on Lu Mingfei's foot and turned around before leaving. So, the two became enemies for 3 years. In fact, when Lu Mingfei looks back now, he doesn't think he said anything wrong at that time. Because Chen Wenwen is indeed the most desired companion image in the hearts of adolescents. Quiet and elegant. And Su Xiaoqiang was full of pride and towering, always maintaining a sense of distance from others. As young male classmates, naturally prefer the former. But to make Lu Mingfei choose now, he thinks Su Xiaoqiang is a bit cuter than Chen Wenwen. Chen Wenwen is too ordinary, an ordinary literary girl with no other characteristics except for her good looks. But Su Xiaoqiang is different. This guy is a young child who walks with wind and speaks with thorns. At first glance, a person will raise their white and slender neck, like a proud white swan. If a man wants her to be his girlfriend, there will definitely be a sense of satisfaction in parenting. Are you thinking about something very impolite? The little heavenly maiden stared at him. He calmly lied, "No, I'm wondering why the movie hasn't started yet, I'm tired." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Injuring a person without the need for a knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Injuring a person without the need for a knife, you don't know what we're here for this time. Little Tiannu was surprised by Lu Mingfei's words. Lu Mingfei looked at her in confusion and said, "What are you doing? Isn't it watching a movie? You're really a silly monkey." Lu Mingfei said so, and suddenly the little heavenly maiden felt a little sad for him again. What is the feeling of a goddess who has been secretly in love for 3 years being confessed by other men in public today, yet unaware of herself? The protagonist in NTR anime is not so miserable, is it? At least the bitter master has actually fired his gun, but licking dog won't get anything. In the eyes of little Tiannu, Lu Mingfei was not just the licking dog, the most humble licking dog. Licked Chen Wenwen for 3 years, until everyone knew it, until there was nothing left. Su Xiaoqiang felt that Lu Mingfei was too miserable, so she couldn't bear to reveal to him the true purpose of today's event. Zhao Menghua wants to confess to Chen Wenwen. As soon as this sentence was spoken, Su Xiaoqiang seemed to be able to see Lu Mingfei's expression as if he had been struck by lightning. On weekdays, he would definitely pretend to be calm, then smile bitterly and say it's okay, and finally run into the bathroom alone, feeling sad. This is Lu Mingfei. A boy who has declined to the point of failure. However, great. Su Xiaoqiang. She looked at Lu Mingfei, who was overjoyed and didn't know why. Finally, there's no need to watch those wrinkled literary films anymore. After speaking, Lu Mingfei looked at Su Xiaoqiang, who seemed to have been struck by lightning, and scratched his head in confusion. What? Are you unhappy? I'm tall. No, you don't feel much about Zhao Menghua's confession to Chen Wenwen. Su Xiaoqiang was almost surrounded by Lu Mingfei. Her mind is quite confused now, she doesn't understand how Lu Mingfei could be so happy. Heartbroken to the point of mental disorder. It doesn't look very similar, this joyful expression doesn't seem fake. Lu Mingfei touched his chin and pondered for a moment, what do you think? Yes. I think I bought the right popcorn. You should object. You should object to Zhao Menghua's confession. But they are a perfect match for talented men and beautiful women. What do we monsters oppose? What about Chen Wenwen? What is your attitude towards Chen Wenwen? Su Xiaoqiang questioned. Lu Mingfei didn't hesitate at all. He replied, Chen Wenwen is a good person who often takes care of me, so I wish Zhao Menghua and Zhao Menghua a long life after they succeed. Su Xiaoqiang. Lu Mingfei. Everything was normal, but Su Xiaoqiang himself was a bit confused. She remained silent for a long time before slowly saying, I was wrong, you are such an emotional idiot. You say so, I'll comply with you. Lu Mingfei chewed on popcorn and casually leaned back on the soft chair, lying flat. Outsiders all think he likes Chen Wenwen. But they never thought that men are fickle. Having lived in a different world for 10 years, even if he was in love with Nana, Yanfei Long, now, he wouldn't be in love with Chen Wenwen. The kind of brat who likes to keep his thoughts hidden deep has long died. Moreover, Zhao Menghua is a well-known second-generation wealthy person in the school, who is also handsome and in line with the taste of literary girls like Chen Wenwen. So for Zhao Menghua and Chen Wenwen, he sincerely wishes. Of course, in Su Xiaoqiang's eyes, he is still that useless child, and it is normal for her to think so. Knowing this, Lu Mingfei was too lazy to refute little Tiannu. What the online guy said is right. Learning to be obedient is the key to a happy and fulfilling life. Lu Mingfei, why are you here? Hurry up, change your clothes and use them for your speech later. Not long after, Zhao Menghua arrived, holding a bag and panting heavily. Not long after he entered the cinema, he kept looking for Lu Mingfei and finally found him in the seat. If it weren't for Su Xiaoqiang being more prominent, it might take a while longer to find him. However, it is obvious that Lu Mingfei does not know what Zhao Menghua is making for his clothes. To what words? I don't remember being the host of this event. Not the host, when we get off the platform. Oh, I can't explain it to you clearly. Anyway, it's crucial for me, brother. You just follow suit. Zhao Menghua couldn't say directly, I and the others are going to see you joke, and could only vaguely and perfunctorily. Unfortunately, Lu Mingfei doesn't like this. He pushed back his bag with a serious expression and said, Brother, you can wear it. When I confess my feelings, it will look a bit formal. I will cheer you on from the audience, don't worry, I am very skilled in stir-frying the atmosphere. After speaking, he even raised his fist to encourage the other party. Listening to Lu Mingfei's inexplicable words, Zhao Menghua, like Su Xiaoqiang 10 minutes ago, was lost. He looked at Su Xiaoqiang in confusion. What is the situation? Why did Lu Mingfei already know what he was going to do? It's the best time to confess to someone you like and see your rival embarrass you. Two good things collided, but now a bad chemical reaction has occurred. Successfully turned his head into a paste. Zhao Menghua is very eager to know which link has the problem. Do you have any objections to what I told him? Su Xiaoqiang said coldly with her hands clasped around her and her eyes tilted. Zhao Menghua. No problem. I dare not have any objections. The only one who cannot be offended in school is this little heavenly maiden. So, the speech began, and when the lights dimmed, only the two chubby twins, Su Yanyan and Su Miaomiao, and the words, Love You, made up of screen letters remained on the big screen. There are 3 words before, Love You. Chen Wenwen, which together means, Chen Wenwen loves you. Accompanied by a literary society image in the background, the atmosphere is heartwarming. I can't tell, Wenwen is quite philanthropic. Lu Mingfei chuckled while delivering popcorn to his mouth. Su Xiaoqiang sighed silently, just eat it to death. A good thing, being able to eat is a blessing. A lot of distorted reasoning. Little heavenly maiden can't say for sure now that Lu Mingfei. She used to be able to kill this guy in a verbal altercation, but today she has been killed instead. She has reason to suspect that Lu Mingfei used illegal and prohibited drugs, otherwise how could he be so aggressive today? The way she saw through the world was so unbelievable that she couldn't believe the boy in front of her was called Lu Mingfei. Today was supposed to be the gathering of our literary society, but I took this opportunity. Although the current atmosphere is a bit awkward, it is far from what Zhao Menghua expected. But there is no other way, the arrow is on the string and we have to fire. Zhao Menghua took the initiative to walk up to Chen Wenwen and said with a stiff face under Chen Wenwen's twitching expression. "We're about to part ways, and I don't want to regret it. I've loved someone for 3 years. Okay, Menghua, great. We will always support you. Promise him, promise him." Lu Mingfei waved his left hand and tried to play the role of a passerby eating melons. But when his voice shouted out, the scene immediately quieted down. The kind that can be heard clearly even when a needle falls to the ground. Su Xiaoqiang moved away and said she didn't know the guy next to her. But Zhao Menghua was completely dumbfounded. "Brother, my confession is not over yet. Why are you shouting so loudly?" End of this chapter. Chapter 9. I was not a joker for many years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. I was not a joker for many years in the heart of 18-year-old Zhao Menghua. A grand confession must have flowers, congratulations from family and friends, and touching background music in an important place. He took out his own consciousness, looked into the other person's eyes, and said the 3 words, "I love you." But now that he hasn't had the flowers brought up yet, why is there someone who doesn't fit in and is causing trouble below? Lu Mingfei. He glared angrily at the weakling below. Lu Mingfei seemed to have realized that he had set the wrong rhythm, so he immediately sat down and stopped speaking. Bad thing. Chen Wenwen's perspective on Zhao Menghua is a bit off now. A carefully designed confession. Every step has encountered problems. When is the darkest moment of Zhao Menghua's life? Undoubtedly, today, on the stage of the cinema, when Lu Mingfei was no longer at his command. Starting from Chen Wenwen's love for you, this confession was like a runaway sow, successfully losing its direction. At this moment, a beam of light hit Chen Wenwen's face. She had no expression on her face. The envoy delivering the flowers carefully handed them to Chen Wenwen and glanced at Zhao Menghua. Zhao Menghua lowered his head and took the bouquet, reaching forward. "Chen Wenwen, I like you." Su Yanyan and Su Miaomiao applauded appropriately. Off stage, Zhao Menghua's friends also cheered him on. The atmosphere is much more peculiar than before. Chen Wenwen hesitated for a long time but did not agree. Finally, she said in a mosquito-like voice, "Zhao Menghua, please give me some time to think about it. Actually, I have a good impression of you, but..." The silence was broken. It seems like thunder piercing through the sky, with lightning shining directly into the center of the sky. The rain fell on Zhao Menghua's heart. No. Everyone ran to the center of the stage and surrounded Zhao Menghua and Chen Wenwen. Some people advised the two to reconcile, while others comforted the disappointed Zhao Menghua. Some people also rebuked Chen Wenwen for saving face from their big brother. Only Lu Mingfei sat downstairs, watching a good play. And the little heavenly maiden next to him. Hey, what a fool. Lu Mingfei smiled happily. You already knew you were going to be teased today, right? Little Tiannu asked in a deep voice, feeling as if she had seen through Lu Mingfei. You intentionally sabotaged Zhao Menghua's confession. It's just a mistake. Lu Mingfei only smiled and didn't answer little Tiannu's words. Why? The little heavenly maiden could guess, but she didn't understand. There's no reason, I just want them to know that not everyone in this world is kind. Starting from Zhao Menghua handing him the clothes. Lu Mingfei has no good impression of this wealthy second generation anymore. He is not a fool. If Zhao Menghua sincerely confesses to Chen Wenwen, he will bless her. But Zhao Menghua insisted on doing something foolish. So Lu Mingfei doesn't mind giving him some tricks to show him who the joker is. Upon hearing Lu Mingfei say this, Su Xiaoqiang finally understood. This guy, how bad. Zhao Menghua was played with by him amidst applause, and it is true that he lost both his wife and his troops. I underestimated you before, big villain. The big villain is quite good, at least he can survive until the end, unlike the Dragon Trap where he dies in just 1 or 2 episodes. Lu Mingfei threw away the empty popcorn bucket, elegantly wiping his fingers covered in popcorn powder, and then stood up. I have also watched the play I should have watched. Goodbye. Little Tiannu was puzzled and said, don't you take the opportunity to confess to Chen Wenwen. She naively thought that everything Lu Mingfei did was for Chen Wenwen. What a child. Lu Mingfei thought to himself. He shook his head with a smile and said, I no longer like Chen Wenwen. I don't like her now, and I won't like her in the future. After some thought, he added, believe it or not, this is the fact. Upon hearing this, the little heavenly maiden suddenly felt that she couldn't see through him again. She only felt that Lu Mingfei had changed so much that she couldn't express it. It's like a different person. Lu Mingfei didn't continue to explain to her, instead he put his hands in his pockets and whistled as he walked outside the cinema. At that moment, memories of high school memories passed away in his heart with the wind. Unfortunately, things are not always smooth sailing. Just as he was about to leave, a beam of reinforcement suddenly shone on his face. Someone pushed away the screening room, and the light made Lu Mingfei stand out in the dim cinema. At the entrance, Chen Madong's dark red hair was neatly combed, and his deep purple professional coat was worn in a white shirt last month, with a full set of gold-inlaid amethyst jewelry. He was also about 10 centimeters taller than before. Her gaze was like a knife, scanning around, and the light overwhelmed everyone present. Even Su Xiaoqiang can't compare to her now. Dazzling, so dazzling, Lu Mingfei even thought she was here to show off. Ricardo, we don't have enough time. Do we still need to continue participating in the event? Chen Tong said in a clear and icy voice, and everyone in the cinema could hear what she was saying. Half loud, there was no response from the scene. No one knows who Ricardo is. The atmosphere returned to silence, which was even more awkward than Zhao Menghua's confession. You can't even imagine the scene of a radiant girl walking in here shouting someone's name but not receiving a response. It's like a lady going to the wrong door, but the customer still pays, which is generally embarrassing. Lu Mingfei, like a carefree person, took his own steps and tried to slip out from the right side of the dazzling girl. Chen Tong lowered his head and grabbed his shoulder. Ricardo, where do you want to go? Ah. My name is Lu Mingfei. Sister, did you find the wrong person? If I say your name is Ricardo, then your name is Ricardo. Chen Madong maintained a professional fake smile and gritted his teeth in Lu Mingfei's ear. Lu Mingfei tacitly agreed to this title and nodded, saying, oh, okay, and then what? When he asked, Chen Tong suddenly didn't know what he should do next. After much thought, Chen Madong decided to stick to the original plan and waved behind him. That's probably a clerk from an adult clothing store, 2 exquisitely made-up women who are about to take off their clothes. Lu Mingfei didn't know what they were planning to do, but he detested such behavior. So he gazed at them, and the instantly revealed aura made the 2 women shiver and no longer dare to continue moving. I don't like others tampering with me without my consent. He pointed at Chen Tong first, then at the 2 shop assistants and said coldly, don't touch me. At this moment, Lu Mingfei was like an adult lion with territory, arrogantly ignoring all other grassland creatures. And his body is his territory. No grassland creature dares to touch a lion's territory, so naturally no one dares to touch his body. Lu Mingfei pulled at the hem of his shirt and turned his head to look behind him. That was his former classmate. Now, everyone showed a look of fear. Because Lu Mingfei's gaze was too terrifying. Under the pressure of his aura, the cinema turned into an entire large ice cellar. Extremely cold. Goodbye by chance. Lu Mingfei casually said and then left the cinema. This time, Chen Tong did not stop. She just smiled reluctantly and said, This is our Ricardo M. Lu Mingfei. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. It's raining. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 It's raining, you're too ruthless, right? In front of so many people losing face to your senior sister. After Lu Mingfei left the cinema, Chen quickly followed suit. She complained as her high heels clattered on the ground. Senior sister. Lu Mingfei raised his eyebrows. Yeah, didn't you all agree to enroll? Of course, I am your senior sister. There is a red sports car parked outside the cinema that looks like flames. Chen Tong pulled open the car door for him and said it as a matter of course. Lu Mingfei ignored her behavior and stood still. Chen Tong instantly understood his meaning, this guy didn't want to call her senior. What a prick. More difficult to deal with than any new student she has ever seen before. Finally, Chen Tong had no choice but to say, okay, you can call me by my name or No in the future. Hello No, Lu Mingfei smiled and got into the sports car. Lu Mingfei, hello. No rolled his eyes and felt tired of Lu Mingfei's occasional behavior as a child. She closed the car door for him and then got into the driver's seat to start the engine. The red Ferrari roared out. Under the night sky, the elevated road was brightly lit, and No's driving was extremely lively. Relying on one's own expensive car to dominate the traffic flow, leaving one car after another far behind. Lu Mingfei felt as if she was treating this behavior as discouraging. Enough of the hype today. No stared ahead without blinking. Actually, I didn't need to make such a name for myself. When Lu Mingfei said these words, he wanted to raise Erlang's feet, but due to the limited interior space of the sports car, he got stuck halfway up. Can't lift up. It's so uncomfortable. So he had no choice but to flatten his legs. That's not because my senior sister was worried that you, the elementary school brother, would be kicked and thrown into the corner by the girl she secretly admired. No glanced at him. Lu Mingfei yawned and said, you thought I had a crush on Chen Wenwen. What does it mean to think, isn't it a fact? Lu Mingfei thought to himself what he had done before, that having a secret love affair would make everyone aware of it. It even spread to the United States, which is truly embarrassing. The past is all over, and secret love is also a thing of the past. After graduation, everyone has to go to different places. You see, I'm planning to go to the United States now, so what are you still secretly in love with? Is it a foreign country? Oh my, the goal is quite clear. No slammed on the brake and the car immediately shook, causing Lu Mingfei to involuntarily knock forward. Fortunately, he managed to control his body in time to save his forehead from a difficult situation. Sister, are you going to die? Step on the brake on the elevated road. The car stopped in the middle of the elevated road. The surroundings were pitch black. Lu Mingfei was shocked. He felt that he had trusted the wrong person. Noa, this woman, definitely held a grudge against his previous behavior and wanted to die with him. No didn't explain, instead he furrowed his pretty eyebrows. Don't you think it's strange? It's strange that you're parking, street killer. Lu Mingfei roast, but No over there has already opened the door and jumped down. He had no choice but to risk getting killed by high-speed cars and get off the car with her. It's too quiet. No was standing in front of the railing, looking at the elevated bridge that had sunk into the darkness, his expression becoming particularly solemn. She was unable to contact Norma, which made her very uneasy. After getting off the car, Lu Mingfei couldn't help but realize what she meant by the strange thing she said. Even though it was still a bustling and brightly lit area just now. At first glance, I couldn't even see a car. The lights on both sides of the elevated bridge were quietly turned off. The entire elevated bridge feels like being trapped in another world, a dark world. I bumped into something dirty. Lu Mingfei remembered the ghost stories he had heard when he was a child and guessed. His whispering appearance made No laugh again. Didn't you even say that you hope this world is idealistic? Isn't there something dirty that suits your taste? You're peeking at my interview answers, said Lu Mingfei. I am also one of the interview reviewers. Take a look at what's going on. If I'm not happy, can I still make you unqualified? Do you believe it? Nono threatened him with a small fist. However, Lu Mingfei did not accept threats. He knew that Nono could not have such great power. Among those who judged their status based on their aura, the only one who could make him fail the interview could be Gudrian. So he smiled and said, "Okay, you let me fail, so I don't have to go to the United States and can stay in the same city as Chen Wenwen." Nono's forehead was lined with black lines, speechless. She has always been the one who eats others right, but she never expected to be eaten right one day. Fortunately, Lu Mingfei did not extend the discussion on this topic. Otherwise, Nono feels that he could really become the first student in the college to coerce S.level dropouts. In the dark world, two people stand side by side in front of the railing of the elevated bridge. There are no stars in the sky, and the moon shines dimly. It's raining. Nono opened his hand and the rain hit her palm, making her feel a bone-chilling sensation. Keep driving forward, maybe it's just that there are fewer people on this road. Lu Mingfei suggested. Nono nodded and the two of them returned to the car. The red Ferrari headlights have become the only light in this dark world. With the roar of the sports car engine once again, raindrops gradually grew larger and splashed on the windows, splashing with water. The whole world now has not only darkness, but also the sound of rain and water. A thunderbolt flashed across the sky, sweeping across their path and briefly illuminating the front. Countless black shadows suddenly appeared in the brief light. "I'm going, there are so many people, buying groceries." Lu Mingfei was stunned for a moment, not understanding why there were so many people on the elevated bridge, why they hadn't seen them before. And after seeing those shadows, Nono's face instantly turned extremely pale. She stepped on the accelerator harder. "Can't you go down and ask them what happened?" "Don't." Lu Mingfei turned his head. At this moment, the dazzling girl was struggling to bite her lower lip, staring intently ahead. Cold sweat kept pouring out from her forehead, and with the help of the rain and the reflection of the small car lights, Lu Mingfei could see clearly. Take another look at the speedometer. The speed of the red Ferrari has soared to over 180 miles. Lu Mingfei seemed to understand something. Nono controlled the steering wheel with one hand and touched Lu Mingfei's arm with the other, saying heavily. "No matter what happens next, don't be surprised." A cold metal weight fell on his hand. "That is a handgun." Lu Mingfei doesn't know what brand of gun this is, but it's definitely not an Audi double diamond. At least in terms of weight, it looks like this. The shadows outside the window grew more and more, and they began to gather in groups of 3 or 5 on top of them or by the door, with golden pupils mixed with rainwater, looking at them with hunger and thirst. "That's not a person." Nono's voice trembled even more, carrying a sense of determination. "Lu Mingfei, remember, it's okay if I die, you have to live." End of this chapter.